I have a problem. I have a challenge. Maybe you've seen the last few intermediate videos that I've made have been stories. And for me, telling a story is not something I'm used to. It's not something I'm good at. I have to learn to do it. So making these last few videos where I tell a story, I've noticed a few things that are challenging for me, a few things I find very difficult to do and that I need to get better at doing. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the things I've noticed. When telling a story, there are several points, several pieces of information or events, things that happen that you have to mention. You have to say them. You have to tell the audience these several things. Because if you miss one, if you forget to say one of these important things, the whole story won't make sense. So while recording the video, I have to remember, keep myself on track, and remember to mention all of the important points. To tell you all the important pieces of information that make the whole story make sense. And so I have to make an effort to remember to say all those things. But I also have to keep within a certain amount of time. I can't just talk, ramble about anything. I have to keep the videos short enough so that they're not boring. And the problem I have, something I find difficult, challenging, is to stay focused on the main important points of the story. Often I start talking about all sorts of different things in detail. I go into detail about things, about information that isn't really important to the story. And I spend too much time talking about something in detail that isn't important, and I don't have enough time to talk about these other things that are important. So if I want to keep the whole video short, not too long, often I'll speed up. I'll start talking faster and faster and faster. I'll start talking faster without thinking about it, because there are so many things I have to think of, so many things I have to remember to do, to mention the important things, to keep the video within a certain amount of time, not too long, to not start talking too much about things that don't really matter. And when I start focusing on one, I forget about the others. So for example, when I realize there are important things I still need to say and there isn't much time left for the video, I start to speed up, I start to talk too fast, and maybe it makes it harder for some of you to understand. Another similar thing to the speed, to how fast I talk, is how clearly I talk. Often, when I'm thinking about other things, thinking about what I still need to talk about, or how much time is left, I stop speaking so clearly. And I've noticed that in some parts of my videos, I speak slowly and clearly, and then afterwards, I speed up and start speaking not so clearly. I speed up and I don't speak as clearly. Another thing that I have trouble with is often I'll have difficulty in expressing something. For the intermediate videos, for these videos, I don't use a script. I don't read every word for word that I have to say. There's no script. There's a rough outline of ideas, all the information that I want to have in the video. But the problem is that sometimes when I'm thinking about the video I want to make and writing down the ideas, they make sense to me. But then when I have to say them, when I have to talk about them in the video, suddenly I realize it doesn't really make sense, or I have trouble expressing that idea. In my head, it's easy to understand, but putting it into words, I have trouble. And so I get stuck on one point at one part of the video. When you start something new, there are all these different things that you have to improve at. All these different things that you've never done before, that you're not very good at, and you have to get better at doing them. And it's even more difficult, even more challenging, because you have to do them all at once. Recording a video like this, I have to think about what I'm saying. I have to think about the bigger story that I'm trying to tell. I have to think about how clearly I'm speaking, how fast or slow I'm speaking, the speed at which I'm speaking. I have to think about the vocabulary I'm using, the words I'm using. I have to speak in a way that is simple enough so you understand. I can't use too many complicated or strange words. I have to speak in a way that in my normal life I don't usually do. Usually I don't speak so clearly or so slowly. Usually I don't have to keep in mind a bigger story or a bigger theme or idea that I want to talk about. So for me, these videos are quite challenging, even though they're really pretty simple, because all of these skills are something I've never had to use before. But hopefully, slowly, over time, I get better and better. And with each video, I improve at least in one of these areas, in one of these skills, so that over time in the future, the videos will be much better. That's what I hope. All right, see ya. And don't forget that you can support me on Patreon. The link is in the description below.